Well, joining us now is the CEO of the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, Pablo Vegas. And Mr. Vegas, thanks for taking some time to be with us this afternoon.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the opportunity to join you today.
First, let's talk about the weather watch that will be in effect starting Saturday. What exactly does that mean for ERCOT and the power generators across the state?
Yeah, so first off, when we issue a weather watch, we want people to know that we do expect conditions to be reliable and the grid to be reliable throughout a weather watch. The reason we do this, we want people to tune in to media sources to keep an eye on what's going on with the weather. It's an indication that we know that there's going to be cold weather coming over a period of time. There's the chance for lower reserves on the system during that weather event. And really, we want folks to tune in. We've got ERCOT.com, where we've got dashboards and information as to what's happening on the grid, as well as our ERCOT.com/TXANS site, where specific grid conditions get published. And we want people to tune into that during that period in case there's any information that needs to be shared.
So looking at the ERCOT dashboard, we see that electricity demand is expected to spike on Sunday and Monday mornings. Will you talk to us about what kind of grid conditions Texans should expect to see then, especially when they use the resources you just referred to?
Yeah, so really throughout this whole weather event, through Monday into Tuesday, we expect grid conditions to remain normal. There is adequate supply to meet the demand that's forecasted on the grid. What really I think folks need to be paying attention to is the weather conditions outside. There's significant chance of ice in the northern part of Texas. There's chances of snow throughout Texas. And really that's going to present the greatest risk for folks living in the area that's affected by this storm. And so driving conditions could be difficult. If there is ice, that could bring down tree limbs and power lines. And so if folks see a power line down, they need to stay away from power lines at all costs. That's highly dangerous. And if there are any power outages, they're likely based on local issues like trees in lines or lines that came down because of ice. And so they should call their local utility company to report any outages. But we expect the statewide electric grid to have plenty of supply to meet all the demand throughout this winter event.
And that is encouraging news there. You know, there have been lessons learned since the weather maker in 2021. We know a lot has been done to boost grid reliability since 2021. So what sort of backups are in place this weekend to help boost supply if we do see those grid conditions get tight?
Yeah, so first off, we've been working over the last few days as we see this weather event coming towards us. We've been working with the companies that own the power plants. We've been working with the companies that own the transmission lines, making sure that they're ready and have everything that they need in order to be able to operate reliably over the weekend. In addition, over the last few years, we've put in new processes that help to run the grid more reliably. We now have something called a firm fuel supply service, where there's more than 30 power plants in the state that store fuel on site just in case there were to be an interruption of the natural gas supply. We operate the grid more conservatively, so we keep more reserves on hand during an event like this in case we need those reserves and another part of if a power plant were to trip offline and we would need additional resources. We're also out every day inspecting facilities and making sure that the owners of these facilities have done what they need to keep the facility weatherized for extreme weather like this. And so all of those things have really helped to improve the reliability of the grid during a weather event like this.
And Pablo, something we're also hearing about is battery energy storage. That's become a lot more prevalent in Texas over the past few years. Will you tell us a little bit about how that works and how that's working to boost the grid reliability statewide? Again, we're talking about battery energy storage.
Yeah, utility scale batteries have really grown in Texas over the last 5 years. When Winter Storm Uri hit, I want to say there was probably less than 1,000 megawatts or 1 gigawatt of battery storage on the ERCOT grid. Today, there's over 16,000 megawatts or 16 gigawatts. That's a significant increase. We're one of the largest battery storage operators that we have in the United States is here in Texas. And so that battery storage is very flexible. It can respond immediately to demands. So it can turn on instantly. It doesn't have to warm up and fire up like a combustion turbine may have to. And so it's an extremely flexible resource that can help during especially those bridge periods of time during an event, like right after the sun goes down or right before the sun comes up, when we need a little bit extra power. Those batteries can provide that additional power to help with reliability.
And before we go, Pablo, we just want to reiterate those resources and those websites that you wanted Texans to keep handy just in case they need to check the state of affairs for ERCOT.
Yeah, so if you just go to the ERCOT.com site, ERCOT.com, that has a bunch of dashboards that show what the conditions on the grid are, how much demand and power is available and being used, and even where it's coming from, what kind of generating facilities are producing the power in real time. And then we also have a notification system, which is at ERCOT.com/Texans, and that's spelled TXANS. And you can sign up to get notifications and updates if grid conditions change.
All right, here's to hoping everything goes smoothly this weekend. ERCOT CEO Pablo Vegas, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon and giving us some insight there.
Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.